I'm always super envious of these kids that are like, I want to be an animator, or I'm going to do this. And you're like, wow. I was making it up in college. I'm like, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do this.
A lot of people ask kids, what do they want to do? What do you want to major in? What kind of classes do you want to take? How is school today? Like, just constant questions about who are you? Who are you? And the secret is that adults don't know who they are.
When I think about myself and my career, I always expect to arrive. You know, like one day I'm gonna know what I'm doing. What surprises me is that I always feel like I'm still striving to get better and that I never really feel like I've ever arrived.
Oh, what kind of kid was I? I was a pretty good kid, actually. I was too afraid to do anything bad. As a child, I always wanted to be a dancer. I put on these hot pink socks. I put my ballet shoes on, and my dad he cut out a piece of plywood, and I would dance on the plywood. But anyway, I got into dance class. I danced till I was in my 30s, I guess. That was great.
From a very young age, I've been incredibly methodical, and I would stay up at night strategizing about my life. I wasn't like a fun kid. I was just thinking down the line.
I have to be honest, I was a scaredy cat kid. I was a bookish kid. I was a kid, I always had my nose in a book. There were 5 kids in my family. It was much safer to go in the corner and read.
I was happy, bubbly, and really talkative up until middle school. And that's when I started developing a stutter, and then I became like really closed off and introverted. And that's kind of when I started drawing, trying to find other outlets to express myself, because I figured like, I'm just gonna give up on talking.
I think that I became a manager the day my little sister was born. I was 6, and it was like, I have somebody to manage. We'd put together plays or radio shows on a cassette tape. My parents would come home and I'd be like, listen to this cassette that we just produced.
I had an imaginary friend. Darcy. Yeah, she was magical. She had a button in her rib cage, and if you pushed it, wings would sprout out, and then she would fly home every sunset to New York City, where she lived in a skyscraper.
When I was really little, I wanted to be a doctor, and then I even had like a doctor's kit and used to set up my whole house like a hospital. And then around the age of 9 or 10, I decided I wanted to be a movie director.
Do you still want to be a director?
I would still like to be a movie director one day. Putting your name in the ring for a position that you don't know, but you just have to take that leap of faith in yourself. You have to be gutsy, and I just remember feeling so scared and nervous about it. Letting people know that I wanted to be a production manager, I want to produce one day.
I was paying my way in college by working at a seafood restaurant. I was taking computer science classes and dreaming of one day getting to Pixar. Well, I wasn't shy about telling people what I was planning to do with my life, but unfortunately, I think when you're serving cocktail sauce and cheesy biscuits, it's hard for people to see you as anything else. So I was laughed at, I was told I was crazy. My undergraduate advisor actually told me to not bother applying to the graduate program I wanted to get into. It doesn't matter how far you feel from your dream at the time and what you're doing to try to make it possible, you have to believe in yourself. My name is Angelique Reich, and I'm the character lighting lead on Inside Out.
I am Samantha Wilson, and I was the story manager.
Meg LaFauve, writer.
I'm an actor.
A directing animator.
I'm a media personality.
I am an animator,
Production manager.
story artist.
Do you identify with any particular character?
Joy, it's easy. I definitely am the kind of person that wants everybody to be happy. I'm always in there trying to figure out how to fix things and make things go well.
For a lot of artists, they're very self-deprecating, so when they see their old work, I think that definitely disgust is driving.
My favorite character, I think, would have to be Disgust. When I'm trying out a lot of different acting choices, yeah, whatever. I'll try something, I'll watch it play back, and I'm like, ugh, no.
Because I've always wanted to be perfect. I've always wanted to be the best. Fear was always back there.
I definitely connect with fear personally.
because I worry so much about everything and I'm worried I'm going to mess up something all the time.
I started at Pixar in 1985 as a receptionist, PA. I was surrounded by confident Americans. I had to answer the phones, all these basic things. I didn't have a clue, actually. I couldn't find people some of the time, and I couldn't switch it through. And in the office next to me were John Lasseter and Eben Osby. I think I was hired for my entertainment value because I kept them laughing unintentionally. And I did get better because they didn't mind that I messed things up. I tried, and the whole point, I think, is just trying.
In the beginning of my career, it was always very difficult to show rough work. Just ignore everything that I've done. And that's kind of the motto of what we do is show rough, show early, show often. It's so challenging to put that raw self of yours up on the screen in front of everyone to see, but that's where the camaraderie comes in and you start to feel at home with this group of animators and they're your family and they know that you can do better.
I realized at a certain point that I was going to make lots of mistakes. The way I look at it and the way I talk to like leads on my team, new leads, I'm like, this is your job to do. That means that you're going to mess some stuff up and you're going to also get some stuff right. I expect you to learn from it and just pick yourself up and keep going. It's not about doing the job perfectly. It's about doing the job.
One thing I had to learn was just it's okay to fail and to make mistakes and to not beat yourself up about it. And that's when you learn and grow the most. Don't be afraid to stutter.
My very first meeting at Pixar, Pete was pitching to John and Andrew Stanton, and I just sat at the table thinking, oh my God, I don't know, am I gonna talk? But I waited and I listened and I heard John's notes and I heard Pete's responses and I just really, really listened. And then all of a sudden I had a question. And I waited and I still had my question and I literally said, I have a question. And I remember John Lasseter just turned. And I thought, oh God, talk. And I asked my question. And he looked at me. And then Andrew, I remember, said something. And John said, wait, we need to talk about what she said. We need to answer this question. And I thought, okay. When fear comes up, I literally, and maybe it's from working on this movie, and I asked my fear to take a seat and just wait and see, and then I try.
I can remember the very first session that we had. I was extremely nervous because I never did voiceover before. And I wish I had been more creatively courageous in the beginning of the process. As we got into more sessions, all of a sudden I'm going, hey, I can do that. In my mind, I'm going, oh, I can do this, okay. And I started playing with it more, having fun with it. Yeah, find the fun. I don't know how to do that.
I do feel like strong emotions are helpful because when you're passionate about what you're working on and you just really want to do a good job, you really do see that push and pull of your joy, your fear, your frustration, and sometimes even sadness.
I think you have to just constantly be able to let feelings come and pass and go through you and treat them like the weather, like they're always going to change. Nothing lasts forever.
I think they're a way to gauge what's going on in a situation and figure out what the solution is.
It's important for us to be aware of people's emotions, whether people are overt about it or if you just are sensing stuff. And it's important to kind of follow those threads and see if that leads to something.
Do you feel connected to this movie?
Oh, I feel super connected to Inside Out. It's a humane film, like it's an actual thing that's a good thing to put in the world. I like how it deals with all those things, those big themes about connection and emotion and feeling.
To see a movie, and one of the overt messages is to embrace your sadness and realize that it can help you and it is healthy to be sad, is really unusual and super exciting to see in a movie.
I started this job basically when I came back from maternity leave, and so I feel like I've been growing the last 4 years, on this film and watching my kids grow. Every time I see the film, it's like, cherish all these moments, relish in it. It goes so fast.
I worked on this movie before, during, and after baby. When I came back from maternity leave, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to go back to work full time and every day. And I'm just happy and relieved that I came back to work. And years from now, when she sees the movie and she asks me, why did you leave every day, I can say with my head held high, like I was a part of something that I think is important.
My daughter Leela drew a picture that we ended up using in the film. It's when Riley is drawing Bing Bong on the wall, and so I worked late at night so I could actually light that shot. But I think of it as an echo of what's important to me about the film. You know, I'm a mother, and here's my daughter. There's things that are in the film that speak to that relationship and to growing up. And it gives her a connection to the film, too, because, I mean, she sees me go to work every day. And, you know, I want her to also be proud of my work in the film and to feel good about that.
One of the reasons I really emotionally connected to this film is because I was a good girl. And so I really loved the idea of a movie that explored all different aspects of a girl, that she can be angry and she can be disgusted and she can be scared and she can be sad. And that by doing that, she was more authentic and more able to give and connect with her family.